Hello and welcome to Festive Fall Flavors. I'm Stephanie and I'm one of the Youth Services Librarians with the Brighton District Library. Today we are going to be making apple cinnamon roll cupcakes, and boy are they a fun and festive fall treat. Make sure to check us out throughout the month of November on Mondays for more fun treats at 4 p.m. or on our YouTube channel where we'll share them each week. Also check out our Youth Services blog and stop by the library for some fun DIY craft kits throughout the winter. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching and enjoy. To start our recipe, we're going to need an apple, just a medium-sized apple, and we're going to start with peeling it and then dicing it into small diced pieces. I like to peel my apple with a handy-dandy peeler. I find this one easiest to use, and then we will chop it up with a chef's knife. You can also use a paring knife. Those are a little bit smaller and easier to use, but the great Chef Simon says that you can get just about everything done with a chef's knife, and it is my favorite tool in the kitchen. Alrighty, so now we have our apple peeled, and the way that I like to dice up my apples is to just kind of cut out the core. So if you kind of cut around, it's an easy way to core your apple. Now, I know the recipe does not start with apple as the first step in the process, but that's because it kind of accounts for the fact that all of our ingredients are going to be prepped ahead of time. So we are prepping this apple by doing small dices. We want them to be kind of bite-sized pieces. Those might be a hair big, but they will do the trick. And I like to just slice each of these. Turn it, slice again. Remember, when cutting with knives, you want to use a claw hand. That's going to keep your fingers safe, and we want to keep our fingers safe all the time. And then we're just going to cut these up, line them back up, turn. Now, I'm no expert here, but I love to bake and I love to cook. So these are just things that I've picked up along the way. And we're going to finish off dicing this apple and then continue on to our next step. So this recipe is going to make you 8 cinnamon roll apple cupcakes, and they are going to turn out delicious. So now that we have our apple cut and diced, I'm going to cut these guys up a little bit more. They're a little big. Just kind of go through and do some fine tuning of our work. We're going to take our apple and we're going to put that off to the side. And now the recipe calls for parchment paper, but I have this handy dandy little silicone mat, so we're going to use that today. And this is our crescent dough. I just grabbed some from Meyer, easy 8 rolls crescent dough. You can use whatever is available. And we're gonna roll out this bad boy and spread it across. And now remember, this comes in triangles, and so we don't want it in triangle shape. We want it one giant sheet. So to achieve that, we're going to take our fingers and just kind of pinch along these seams to seal it up, because we're going to roll this all together, and I'll show you later how it's going to work. So we're going to just pinch our seams, pinch, 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 get everything nice and snug, and voila, we now have one giant sheet of crescent roll dough to work with. Now, what we're going to do next is we are going to brush our dough with some melted butter. So here I melted some butter. This is 3 tablespoons, but we're only going to be using 2 tablespoons for this step. So hold on to about 1/3 of it. And we're just going to take our brush and brush it. If you don't have a brush, You can just kind of drizzle some with a spoon and then kind of use the back of the spoon to spread it out. You just want to get a nice even coat on your crescent dough because we're going to sprinkle some of the good stuff on top of it next, and to make it nice and yummy and delicious. So we need something for that to adhere to, and butter just makes everything better. We just love butter. So sprinkle that on, get it all over a nice even coat. And then you're going to reserve the rest of this butter and set it to the side. Now, for our sugar, it's about 1/3 cup sugar overall, but you can see here that I mixed brown sugar and white sugar. And so it's about 1/6 cup each. I think I did that math right. I just eyeballed 1/2 cup and 1/2 cup. And we're going to mix this all together. I use dark brown sugar because I like the extra molasses in it. I just think it gives extra good yumminess. But you can use light or dark brown, and that's okay. And then to this, we're going to take our cinnamon. And this is roughly 3/4 teaspoon. I like things a little extra cinnamony, so mine might have ended up just a hair bigger, but that's okay. It's to taste. So if you like things a little bit less cinnamony, you don't like that kick, you can go definitely less. If you like more, by all means, enjoy. So what we're going to do is we're going to just sprinkle this all over. And you want to get it kind of evenly distributed. And you can go back with your fork and kind of help spread it out later. But we're going to get it nice and gummy because you want every cupcake to have that good cinnamon sugar goodness. So we want to spread it out. And this is very similar to what you would be doing if you were making actual cinnamon rolls, which I make every so often. And you just love to smother things with butter, and cinnamon, and sugar. So we're going to spread this all out, and that's a nice little even coat that we have. So now that that's done, we're going to go back to our diced apples. And with our diced apples, we're just going to kind of sprinkle those on top. And again, we're looking for a nice even coating. They're going to get rolled in. So we want them kind of so that every one of our little cupcakes is going to get a good amount of apples, because those are one of the yummiest parts of this. I'd say the cinnamon and the apples. That is some festive fall flavoring. So now that we have that all together, we're going to start on our long side here. And where our long side is, we're going to start to roll it into a log. So you're just going to very gently take your thumbs and start to roll. And you've got to get it up and over those apples. And if your seams kind of come undone as you go, just pinch them together. It'll be okay. A little bit of breakage is not going to be a problem. The wonderful thing about this recipe is it's a little messy. It's a little fun. So don't worry if it's not perfect. And we're just going to roll these up. And remember, some of these inner seams, they're going to be inside. Nobody's going to see it. Oops, and we lost some apples up at the top here. We're just going to pinch those in. And you can see here that my log came kind of undone. So we're going to just pinch those seams back up. Where the sugar came out, it's a little hard, but we're going to wing it. That's the wonderful thing about baking, is it's kind of a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of science, and a little bit of mess. And I think some mess in the kitchen is fun. So now that we have our log, we're going to slice at about 1.5 inches so that we have 8. So we're going to just kind of eyeball this because I didn't grab a ruler, but it's okay. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, and these guys really came apart. I think my dough was a little too warm. It had been sitting out while I was doing my prep work, and I probably should have kept it in the refrigerator a tad longer, but that's okay. We can work with it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slice it, and then we're going to arrange it in our muffin tin and our paper liners. So here I have prepared some liners, and we are going to just kind of lift these guys and place them in. So we're going to place them in facing up, so that hopefully as they cook, you see a little bit of a spiral. And be prepared that some of the sugar is going to fall out. It's okay. Don't worry about it at all. We've got 2 more. This guy's falling out, but that's all right. And then last but not least, our little guy on the end. So now we're going to move this out of the way. I'm going to take a couple of these apples, though, that fell out, and give them a little home in some of these leftover guys. And then we're going to stick that to the side. And then we're going to have our lovely little tray here. So our little tray, remember that butter that we reserved? So we've got this butter, and we're going to brush it on top. And we're just going to make everything nice and buttery. So brush it on the top, let it drip down in all its wonderful liquid gold goodness. You're going to brush each one. This will also help with the browning process a little bit. We lost that little apple. He's going to have to go back in. We're going to just brush this on top of everything. Make sure everything's nice and well coated. All right. So you can see here our cinnamon apple cupcakes are ready to go into the oven. They're going to bake in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to get these put in, and then we'll see them when they come out. And while we're waiting for them, we're going to make our glaze. All right, so now we are going to make our wonderful classic cinnamon roll glaze that's going to go over our cinnamon apple roll cupcakes. And so we're going to start with powdered sugar. Here we have a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. And I will say that powdered sugar, I feel like, is one of the messiest things that you can work with when baking. So be a little bit careful with it. It has a tendency to fly everywhere. And we've got some maple syrup, about 1 teaspoon, and then some milk. And now the milk we're going to kind of use to our desired consistency, but it's going to be about 1 tablespoon. So all we're going to do is we're going to add these together. So we're going to start with pouring in our maple syrup and getting that lovely fall flavor that we all love so much. And then I'm going to start with just drizzling in a little bit of milk. And then I'm going to stir and see if that's enough. Now, I like to use a whisk for this because I feel like it can help get all their chunks out. And it looks like we might still be a little too dry, so we're going to add a little bit more milk. And then we're going to stir. Now, if you've never made cinnamon rolls before, I'd go for kind of the consistency that you see when you buy the ones that come in the tube, similar to these crescent rolls. But if you like a little bit thinner, definitely just add a little bit more milk. If you wanted a little bit more maple syrupy, you can add a little bit more maple syrup as well. But I'm happy with this consistency. It has a little bit of a run to it, so it'll drizzle a little bit over it as opposed to me having to smear it on. So that is all finely whisked up. We want to make sure we got rid of any of those clumps. And here we have our glaze. So we're going to wait for our cupcakes to come out of the oven, and then we're going to let them cool just slightly and drizzle this up on top and enjoy. And there you have it. We have one of our beautiful apple cinnamon roll cupcakes. And all we have left to do is add the glaze. So what I'm just going to do here is take a spoon, take a good little amount. Remember, you get to divide this amongst 8 cupcakes. And we're just going to drizzle it across the top. And add as much as you like. I like a lot of glaze, so we're going to make sure this guy has a good amount on him. And there we go. There is your apple cinnamon roll cupcake complete with glaze. I hope you enjoy our festive flavors.